Welcome back to the show, friends. Well, one of the breakout stars of the pandemic, that's just funny to say, one of the breakout stars has been the surge in the number of ghost kitchens, both locally and nationwide. Here to talk about what those are and where you can find them. She ain't afraid of no ghosts. The editor of Eater Twin Cities and our dear friend, the lovely and talented Joy Summers. Hello, sweetie. How are you doing?
Hey, Jason. Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's been a while. Joy, I haven't seen you in it's been a year and 2 months now.
Yeah, it's been as long as we haven't been going to restaurants. That was where we met.
That's where Joy and I met and fell in love. Well, okay. They're on the rise, but we're relying on you because I'm sure there's a lot of folks watching, Joy, that have no idea. Can you explain what the concept of a ghost kitchen is?
Absolutely. It's one of the newest ways that restaurants are getting creative. With the year that we've had, everybody's got to rethink their business. One of the most interesting ways, I think, is kind of doing away with the restaurant and just going with the kitchen. So that's why they're calling it ghost kitchens. There's no restaurant where you can physically sit down or come in, but they're cooking out of industrial kitchens. It's all commercial, food grade safe, but they're coming up with these really cool creative concepts, and everybody's getting in on the act, from nationally known celebrity chefs down to fresh startups, really exciting new people who are getting a toehold in the industry because they can find a way to start a restaurant without the huge overhead of a build out and seats and all of the work and staff that goes into opening a huge whole restaurant. And we as diners get to try out these different concepts all in the comfort of our own homes.
And I love it. And Joy, before we list off some of the places around here, you touched on something where I keep telling the news bosses, I don't think the general public knows what the staffing issue. Restaurants, and Joy, you know this, this is like a story that I think needs more attention as far as business news. Restaurants cannot find staff. Am I right on that, Joy?
Absolutely. Everybody's ready to start welcoming back people. We're getting vaccinated. It's been amazing how fast staffs have been able to come up with the fresh protocols and be safe. But there's no staff that's coming back. A lot of people, you can't be out of a job for a year and just sit there. I mean, I'm sure some people can, but not an industry where they're used to getting up, taking care of people, and constantly being on the move. Some people have completely left the hospitality industry. Some people have found new jobs, recommitted themselves in new ways, followed their side hustles. Now that our restaurants are reopening, everybody's short-staffed right now. It's been really rough.
It's a problem. Marty's Deli, Minneapolis. Talk to us about this one, Joy.
Oh my gosh. This is for people who love the handheld meal. Fantastic sandwiches stuffed with all kinds of goodies. Marty's began as just an Instagram email list. That's the best way to get a hold of them. Follow them on Instagram, get on their email list. You'll be able to get the menus. You'll find out what kind of sandwiches they're serving every week on this pillowy, crusty, salty, olive oily focaccia that they have. And they're stuffing it with all kinds of goodies every Wednesday at Bar Brava, which is that new natural wine bar that had just opened before the pandemic hit in Near North, right off of Washington Avenue. It's really easy to get to location. And you go get all kinds of sandwiches plus little deli sides. It's from a chef who comes here from New York. She spent a bunch of time researching Jewish delis and all the good food that's in there. And then she's doing it her own way every Wednesday. So it's a really cool little spot.
This next one's in the Maple Grove, Eden Prairie, Burnsville. Guy's Flavor Town. What is this?
I bet you've heard of Guy Fieri.
I think I've heard of that gentleman, yes.
I was spending way too much of my pandemic time watching old episodes of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And now he's bringing, the mayor of Flavortown has come to the Twin Cities. He's bringing his donkey sauce. He's bringing his pig poppers. He's got all of these ridiculous fun, munchy foods that are you can now get delivered. They're actually working out of Buca de Beppo kitchens. So that's why we get the variety of locations. And it's all delivery only. And if you want to get some monster burger with a side of fries and donkey sauce, which is really just garlic aioli, like I'm pretty sure, you can just order up from Guys, and they're all over the metro.
And finally, and Joy's going to stick around. We have more to talk about. But let's go to St. Paul. Stayed.
Now, these guys, I just had dinner from them last night. They're this new service that's coming out of the kitchen of Rival House, which is a hotel kitchen in downtown St. Paul. These guys are putting out really a polished program. This feels like a full fancy dinner service that you'd have on a special night out, but you're getting it delivered right to your door. It's beautifully packaged and big hearty food. I had a beef short rib that was so tender with a little bit of lemony, garlicky gremolata on top over some creamy mashed potatoes with a side of zucchini and carrots, all beautifully presented, where if you're wanting to maybe have a little quarantine date night at home, you can very easily order from Stayed and just like carefully move it from the box onto a plate and pretend that you did the whole thing and have been slaving in the kitchen for hours.
I love it. I made all of this, people. Just, I mean, I'm a little loose fans. I made all of this. We're going to post this whole segment. If you missed, if you're like, oh, I need to write that down, don't worry. We'll post this on the Facebook page a little bit later. But we have more with Joy when we come back. The rebirth of local restaurants. What to look forward to in the next 6 months or so when we come back. Back in a moment, everyone. I made this whole meal. Welcome back. Good shooting, everybody. We're back with Joy Summers, the editor of Eater Twin Cities. And Joy, the next week or two is being described as kind of a rebirth of the restaurant industry, including here. Why?
Because they're slowly opening back up. Restaurants that we haven't been able to see since the beginning of the pandemic are all of a sudden welcoming us back in with open arms. A big one of the most exciting ones, is Bar La Grassa is now doing takeout starting today. So if you've been missing that cauliflower gnocchi, they are going to be serving it for takeaway starting tonight. And that's a big deal because all of Isaac Becker's restaurants, he owns 112 Eatery, Bar La Grassa, and Snack Bar. That's right across the hallway from Bar La Grassa. They've been closed since the pandemic. On March 17th, when everybody shut down in 2020, these restaurants went dark, and we were really worried that we were going to lose them. I think Bar La Grassa, 112, these are restaurants that have been around for so long. They're really a part of the dining, culture of the Twin Cities. And it wasn't looking good. One of his restaurants, Birch Steak in Uptown, closed. I loved that place, but it didn't make it. So now we're starting to see signs of life, places that we have missed so much, places like Meritage in St. Paul. They're opening for in-person dining. St. Dinette in Lower Town, they are already welcoming people back. There are so many places. I've got that great running list that you just showed, where every day it feels like spring. Little pops of restaurants, like reminders of the life that I loved, are coming back. Despite the fact that it was snowing this morning, we also have a lot of new exciting patios that are going to be ready for us very, very soon. At the end of the week, Sidebar at Surdyk's is reopening. That was just this great little restaurant that it was so good.
How right, Joy? I mentioned it here on the show. I'm biased because it's in my neck of the woods, but it was one of my favorite new openings last year, don't you think?
It was so gorgeous. Yeah. Just in that great buzz in the room. Like it just felt like wanting to grab your friends and hang out for hours.
Yeah. And Joy, do you have any indication, again, La Grassa, the viewers know, I always say I've never had a bad meal there. It's not a cliche. It is the truth. Any indication of when they may open for dine-in?
They haven't given indication yet. I think Isaac Becker and Nancy St. Pierre, the owners, are really playing their cards close to the vest as far as when they're going to feel ready and comfortable to safely open up the dining room and be able to staff it. Like we were just talking about, that's the next thing. Like people who always think about it, you have this job in your back pocket that you always think that you can fall back on. You have these skills, this experience, and these connections. And that whole safety net was just gone. It was decimated. And I think people who maybe work part-time, who had side hustles, they're not coming back to the industry, at least not yet. All I can do is hope that this pushes forward better wages, a more stable way of being able to work in the industry, having sick paid and paid time off and things that other industries kind of take for granted. Like when you have an office job, you expect that you can call in sick and you don't have to find somebody else to replace you.
Yeah.
Things need to change, and I'm hoping that this is going to be the harbinger of all good things.
Absolutely. You brought us a lot of good things today, and may I compliment you, Joy. Nothing is worse than bad audio. You have fantastic audio zooming in here, and I appreciate it. I love your mic.
A skill I didn't even know I had.
You do. Seriously, Joy, you have really good audio. That's a compliment.
Thank you.
See you soon, sweetie. For the latest on all food in the area, go to twincities.eater.com. If you're watching us, if you're a correspondent watching us from out of town, hit up Joy and our buddy Stephen Hansen. They know where to go. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us.